honest, I know everyone's bored to death with this whole coronavirus pandemic and all that stuff.
What is the narrative? The unprecedented, challenging times ahead.
Exactly, all that.
When do you always hear that? You're like, God, man.
So, like, I think let's talk a little bit about the because you were on the front lines, yeah. So let's just kind of rewind a little bit back to when it first hit. And do you remember Patient Zero? Do you remember Patient Zero at Legion, bro? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that guy.
So just explain a little bit what happened, like, because what happened. So I remember all these coronavirus memes were coming out on Instagram, and I just ignored them.
They were making a joke about it, weren't they?
Just jokes.
They were like vodka and Corona,
yeah,
like gin and tonic, all that kind of
all that rubbish. Yeah. So
and then when it came,
so we closed the gym.
We were
before the
close.
lockdown.
Yeah,
100%.
End of February closed.
Yeah.
Like
No. It was March the Wednesday we closed, and then
the week after
the Friday is when the pandemic happened.
Yeah, and people were complaining to us.
They were complaining to us. Yeah. They did, but we understood the realities of what was going to happen. In a sense, we didn't know it was going to last a year.
I remember I used to do talks on this to other clinicians, and I used to talk to people about pandemics and stuff. And unfortunately, whenever we had a pandemic, it didn't really take off. Like swine flu, really take off.
You seem disappointed, bro.
No, like because with this, you know, it was.
There's nothing like a good pandemic to
just rear up the engines. For me, it's like the problem with that, bro, is that unfortunately, I don't want to go to conspiracy, blah blah blah, but you know, Big Pharma has a hand to play, and you know, sometimes they do push the agenda. And I think swine flu kind of made me see that first time when I was working, because most of the people that came to me didn't have swine flu; they had the side effects of Tamiflu, which is the drug that is used for bird flu, not for swine flu.
They gave me Tamiflu.
They give everyone Tamiflu, bro. It's not even an indication of usage; it's antiviral, but specifically for bird flu. But bird flu never took off. So Roche was stuck with all of this massive stock. Right. They had to do something.
There was all that kind of those rumors flying.
Yeah, I mean, look, whatever it is, So that affected my understanding. So when Corona comes, like, you know, we understand it's quite difficult.
You were skeptical, kind of.
Yeah, I was like, but then when you started seeing people coming in, and I'll never forget GP saying to me, "This guy comes in, he's talking to me, Amir, full sentences, just complaining a little bit chesty." A little bit short of breath, but like you could never believe this guy is about to pass away in about 1 hour.
No way.
And he said to me, I put the SATS monitor on, 84%. And he went, I'll explain to you what 84%, I'll get to the point, yeah? And he goes, nah, it's the monitor, because his finger might be cold, let's warm it up. 84, 85. Went and got one from A&E, 84, 85. And he's like, no, this is not good. So when he spoke to the medical reg, so you referred him on to, he goes, 84, 85, and he's talking his full sentence. So no one saw that ever before. Guy goes in, and then he goes, and boom, hypoxic, and just collapses. Sent into resus. I think he made it, but the point I'm getting at, we saw a lot of those cases, though, coming in, saturation's really low. Look, we have a friend of ours that we both know that his sats were low.
Yes.
It's unfound. You don't see that, bro. You don't see young men and women coming in with respiratory distress at that level. Unheard of. It was literally like, you know, if you get carbon monoxide poisoning, you lose the affinity for oxygen to this other molecule, which actually makes things difficult, like causes hypoxia.
Firstly, can we... Before
So
we get into that, I just want to... Can we just talk a bit about the virus itself, yeah? And just clear up some misconceptions a little bit.
If we can.
And I know look, if you're here to kind of, if you're going to go in the comments and start talking about
5G towers,
you know what? Like that's not what I'm here to talk about. And if you want to talk about that, and that we're, you know, there's a lot of rude things going on. People kind of, people being rude to NHS staff, and you're in on this whole conspiracy. I don't want to talk about that. Let's just talk about the realities from your experience. The virus itself, because you've had a year in the trenches, different kind of peak pandemic, and then kind of in the lulls, and then going up again.
I, when it started for me, I wanted to upregulate to do ITU work. I remember having this conversation with one of the leads of the local place that I work in.
I need you to use layman terms, please.
So I wanted to work in intensive care.
Yeah.
because I felt like I'm quite good at A&E,
Yeah.
quite good at acute medicine. I want to do this. And I spoke to him because, look,
acute medicine. So I keep. I'm gonna stop because I know when you talk, sometimes even I get. But I get lost sometimes.
Emergency practice. So
Right.
someone collapses, what do you do next? Someone breaks the limb, what do you do next? So I love that kind of stuff. Alhamdulillah. When I say I love it, I'm scared of it, but I've got a passion for it. It's really weird. So I spoke to him because, look, just speak to the intensive care consultant at Queen's. I'm sure they're going to want to have you to come on board, and we can have like this kind of teamwork, primary care, urgent care, working in ITU, bringing, was thinking outside the box. Anyway, I got a letter saying I've got a shield.
Why?
Because of Musa.
Oh.
He had brittle asthma. And also Dad was stingers, wasn't he? And Dad's a COPD patient. And I was
Sorry,
like,
what's the COPD?
Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. So he basically got like asthma, but due to wear and tear and some other habit-forming behaviours back in the day. But it's basically as a consequence of lung disease. So you see that sometimes he trains, he's a little bit short of breath, he's got to his time. But with... so then I was like, I remember one of the average GPs I used to work with in Wolverhampton goes, you can't come work here, bro. I was like, what? I need income. I need to work. So then for a little while I was doing telephone triaging. And then I started doing nights again, started doing days again, started coming back into work again.
So telephone triaging.
So you actually work over the phone. So you can actually close at least 7, well, not emergency calls, maybe long-term patients. We found we could close about 70% of the calls on a primary call. So the first phone call, I can sort you out over the phone, and when I put it down, you're dealt with.
Yeah, so like you call them, I call you, I've got stomach, my stomach's hurting.
Whatever it is, like
you go through.
Or I might do a video call.
Right.
We have a platform called Amir Eslami. Do a video call, look at the rash, because we was trying to keep everyone out of hospital. Right?
Yeah, of course.
And people didn't want to go to hospital, even if they were sick, they didn't want to go in. They were scared to go in. If anything, the first few months, or first at least month or two into coronavirus, I remember one of the nurses, Sarah, saying to me, "You should be working, bro. It's really quiet here," because people were scared to come in. But then the people who were coming in were really ill.
Yeah.
Had some really bad respiratory and breathing difficulties. Like really struggling, man.
So can I, it's a good point to kind of talk a little bit about the life cycle of coronavirus, because that really helped me.
Yeah.
Like I remember you sat me down and you explained to me how, like from when you get the infection to what happens.
Incubation period.
Yeah. And then what happens when you get it, and then.
So viruses are interesting ones because they incubate for sometimes a long period of time, between 7 to 14 days on some viruses. I think they've got 3 to 5 days in some studies. But basically, it sits in your system now. The question was, the etiology or the understanding of a virus in terms of how it acts and how it works and the mechanism of working, it blew that all out of the water. So when we had our first Wuhan patient in Queens, yeah?
So he actually came from,
he came with his daughter. As you know, China is a big, massive metropolis of work opportunities, right?
Yeah.
So this guy's gone there, obviously as he coming back, then this Wuhan thing, his daughter had a fever. Bro, I've never seen everyone go, just hide him in that room, close the door, don't want to go. I was like,
wow.
It was like, bubonic plague. I was like, oh, this is a kid, man, you're going to scare them. So I went there and I spoke to the microbiology consultant. He said, you have to look at the case definition. Definition is you was being in Wuhan for this for this long, exposed to someone for this many days who's had the fever. There was criteria, right? And I was like, she doesn't meet any of those. She goes, yes, it cannot. So you see, thinking, right, logic, it can't be coronavirus. Probably was coronavirus. Probably was. Because then within about a space of a week, the definition changed again.
Yeah, I remember you were saying.
Anyone with a fever has got coronavirus.
So can you imagine, like on the front line, daily,
it was changing.
The terms of engagement was changing, right?
A&E would take them first, and then there was like, no, UTC, you got to take them, which is Urgent Treatment Center, and they'll say, oh my God, they should be rushed, there should be a special COVID ward. It was like...
It was like war, basically.
It was war, bro.
Yeah,
you was trying to do your best, but wallahi, I remember that people were scared.
I remember.
People were scared. But the doctors were scared because it wasn't acting like a virus. It was obviously a virus, but it was working in such a weird fact. Like, Ever heard of a virus that sits on inanimate objects for about 7 to 14 days? You can sit on a hard surface for up to, in one study, 21 days. And then you had other people called super shedders. These were people who just given off the virus after they've lost their symptoms. So they're still handing it around like Typhoid Mary, just handing it around everywhere. I was like, this is like, it's on a grand scale. You know? So yeah, I think putting...
And also there wasn't, I mean...
And
so you got
you wasn't very educated about it. So you had to get specialists from Wuhan who'll talk to you, and then they brought ITU. I never forget. There was a talk from Northwick Park, I think, ITU consultant, and it was like we jump on, like a Zoom call and listening to that. He said, "This is a beast we've never seen before." And do you know when a consultant says that, bro? And he's IT is like...
It's like your general, basically.
We've got an alien.
Yeah, chief of staff or whatever, yeah.
That's what and it was like. And they were up-regulating... so they were ITU... They were up-regulating anesthetics to come into ITU and take over, help, because it became...
So people who studied to...
The anesthesia, to put someone to sleep, were now told, we need you to come and start working in ITU, because we can't take it anymore.
As anesthetics or just as a normal doctor?
So the anaesthetists are very... Their understanding of illnesses, like in terms of mechanics of how things... They're very intelligent people, mashallah. So like ITU, renal consultants, you have... like there's a lot that you've got to learn. I don't take from any other subspecialties, but those guys are usually like... They're like the... they're like SAS of medicine. And so when they come to ITU, you're not just putting people to sleep, you're actually managing their respiratory function. And the problem with
keeping
COVID,
them alive, basically.
The problem with COVID was actually invasive therapy was actually detrimental. So sticking a tube down someone and breathing for them was actually dangerous. The best thing you could do is give them non-invasive, so like continuous airway pressure, blow it into them, or BiPAP, what they call CPAP, continuous or bi pressures. But I mean, to be fair, still be like, what do we do?
So the first 3 months of the pandemic, it was on the front line. It was because this thing is some people think that, especially when I hear the conspiracy theories about why didn't they know about this, or they knew about this, or for example, why were they underprepared? Yeah. There's all these kind of questions in hindsight when you look back at it. But the reality is, no one in our generation has ever dealt with something like this. Everyone who's dealt with something like this is dead.
Is dead.
Like from the Spanish flu, right? That was the last time something like this happened on a global scale, right? And medicine at that time was completely different to now, right? And so also dealing with you said something very interesting to me last time was that anxiety can actually, when stress obviously reduces your immune response, right, or whatever it is, your immunity, right? So the panic that was happening across
was actually a catalyst for making it worse.
So so let's talk about the kind of stage of so once you've got COVID, right? You're
so
I had it.
You had it, and
you So you
talk through your symptoms.
But so you kind of you feel.
What's the first thing you felt? Would you remember?
Body aches.
Okay. Do you remember a fever?
No.
So the usual is a redonkulous fever.
Yeah.
That you.
Did I get a fever? Yeah, I did get a fever, but the first symptom was.
Yeah. So the body aches. Yeah, you're right. But the fever you get is the kind of fever you get. You get the first flu as a kid. Do you remember having that?
I don't remember.
So I remember having that.
I remember having really, really high fevers.
Yeah. So my high fever was, I think, at medical school, because obviously you started seeing all these bugs now, innit? All these infections you're starting to get akin to, yeah. And it was like that, and wallahi, I was chattering, and I was like, whoa! So this is what it feels like. And the funny thing is, with all this, working in television, working in A&E, working out of hours, doing the night shifts, wearing the PPE kit, the FFP3, the goggles, how did I get it? From my own home. I won't say who, but so and that person got it. I said, went to somewhere, and it happens, right? And then my biggest fear was, okay, I don't mind if I get it. Don't mind wife. It was Musa and my dad. I went. Alhamdulillah, my dad wasn't there at that time, so we got him out.
I remember you were distressed.
We threw him on the plane. So, you get out.
Yeah.
And
I remember you were very anxious about
I
Musa.
was like, because I've seen him going to
I remember
recess.
I've seen him going.
You've seen it.
Gasping for air.
And I've seen him in recess where they've said we're going to put magnesium infusion, which is like, you're getting close to someone going to go to ITU now when you start doing things like that. And you got a child in recess. Yeah. I remember sitting thinking, I can't do that.
Did it reach him though?
Yeah, he got it. But alhamdulillah, do you know what it was? It's like we very quickly put things in place. So the vitamin C, the vitamin D, the vitamin B, the black seed, the organic honey, all of these, like, the key ingredients we spoke about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. You gave me I remember when I had it, you gave me
this concoction,
massive list of stuff
so
to take it and obviously painkillers and all that.
Yeah, you take painkillers, you take conservative therapies, you do everything you can. You do the Wim Hof breathing, the breathing mechanism, and all of this stuff, right? And I think because I jacked it in them real quick.
And then you have trust in Allah.
Oh, well, of course.
Actually, you have trust in Allah first, and then
throughout. So I kind of done that, and I think he just goes, I'm getting really bad headaches, got a little bit hot, muscle ache, but everyone had the same problem in the lethargy.
Yeah.